Hello and welcome back, beautiful soul, to another segment of Permission to Follow Your Inner GPS. This is a video podcast series, and I'm your host, the Angel Lady Terry Marie. Your inner GPS is your inner guided purpose soul path. I know it's a mouthful, but there it is, right? We all have a purpose, and whether you call it your life path, your spiritual path, or your divine life purpose, there's this compelling, I got to do this. I've got to figure out what this is. And this video podcast series is all about, or for you, interviewing amazing people like this beautiful guest, Heather Corbet, a medium, and I knew I was going to screw it up, spiritual medium. The angels are already all over my tongue. So be prepared. I'm probably going to stumble a couple more times, and I'm going to start over with her. She is a beautiful, and she's very talented and very connected medium, spiritual advisor, and she works with angels as well. Please welcome our beautiful guest, Heather Corbet. Hello, gorgeous.
Hi, thank you so much for having me, Terry Marie. This is incredible. This is amazing. I can feel like both of our angels, both of our spirit teams. And it's fun because you get two of us together and they're just communicating. They're just buzzing, right? So I love that. And they'll play tricks too, which just cracks me up that the tricksters just jumped in too. So
they did.
I felt that.
Oh gosh, all right, stop, guys.
Right.
Please tell us, well, we told you a little bit, who are you and what is it that you do, gorgeous?
Thank you for asking. Yes, so I'm Heather Corbet and I'm a medium and spiritual advisor. So the medium part of me, so I am able to I do have psychic hits, so I do psychic work. I also talk a lot with my hands when I'm channeling, so you'll see my hands come up. So then I'm also a medium, and so then I'm able to communicate with your loved ones in spirit and communicate what their messages are to those who are living. And it's just been such an incredible journey there. I started with my own loved ones in spirit, and then was able to start realizing that I could do this with other spirits. So that portion is the medium and the psychic medium. So I do get the intuitive hits for what's going to be coming in the next so many months, perhaps years, etc. And then the spiritual advisor portion of that is being able to communicate with the other person's spirit team as a collective and use my spirit team, and then just assist the person, whoever I'm working with, to be able to align with their path. And so that could be in the form of clearing. So I'm able to go back to spirit will tell me perhaps something happened at 6 years old, some traumatic event. We need to go ahead and clear that in order to assist you to kind of break up some of those patterns that are not working for you, and then get much more aligned with your path.
Nice. How has you, okay, so they're already interrupting me. There are so many of us on this side, meaning on this side of the veil. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get a little woo-woo in this one, okay? Her team and my team, and they're all yak-attacking, and they're already changing things up, and we're just going to go with it because that's pretty much what we do individually. And now that we're together, it's like, yeah, this is not your show. This is not her show. It's ours. I go, okay, no problem. How did you open up, because this is part of your journey, but how did you open yourself up to connect with your loved ones and then transfer or expand that into helping other people get the messages from theirs?
Yeah, that's a great question. That's a wonderful question. So I went through my spiritual awakening about 20 years ago, and it was great. It was wonderful. I had this spiritual awakening as we do. It was somewhat of a traumatic, dark days of the soul, that got me there, but I got there, right? So then I remember taking a 2-month road trip, and it was all about spiritual, concepts. So it was all about manifestation, and then being able to witness manifestation. So we had like the spiral notebooks, my traveling partner and I, and we would write down, did we just manifest? How fast did we manifest? Can we manifest faster next time. And then we were always looking at the synchronicity too, like how did that happen? Connecting the dots backwards. And it was such a joyous, amazing, incredible thing to do. So I got back home, and I think I was home for 2 days or so, and I got a call late at night, and it was a relative saying that my cousin had passed away in a car crash. He was 17 at the time, and I remember sitting down on the couch like numb, and just telling myself, well, tomorrow I'm going to go to his crash scene. I'm going, I need to protect that area. I don't want anybody else to be, taken in that area. And so I lived in Wisconsin, so it's on this backcountry road. There's nobody for miles. I went to his crash scene, and the night before they weren't able to clean everything up as much as they could. I mean, it was a night car accident. So I saw parts of his car, and I saw, debris. And then all of a sudden I saw his glasses, and I had some stones in my hand. So I was going to put some stones there to be able to protect that area. And I saw his glasses, and I just crumbled, and I just fell to the ground, and I was just on my knees, like crying, sobbing, grieving, wailing, and all the stones just fell out onto the road. And again, there's nobody for miles. And so I just said, please just send me an angel, send me an angel. And all of a sudden there was a man on his bike, and he came over this hill, toward me. And he looked at me, and I looked at him, and he saw me on the ground. He got off his bike, he took my hands, and he stood me up, and he said, I want to pray with you. And so we prayed, right? Even now it gives me chills. It gives me chills. So we prayed, and then he said, may God bless you. And he got on his bike, and he took off. And I was thinking at that moment, there is more to this than what I realized. At that moment where I just realized, like, that was my cousin. Like, he sent me an angel, and I feel like he was at the car crash scene. And so then I would see my loved ones in meditations a lot of the times. And then I realized that actually they were more close than I realized. And then at some point, there was just this point where I realized that there were times that I was seeing other loved ones, I was seeing other spirits, but I was trying to figure out how to get messages to people without startling them. And so I would just, you're right, hey, Mom. Right. That's probably happened to you too before. We were like, I see something. So I realized I was just channeling for people. And then I wanted to really hone these gifts even more. So I actually got my own spiritual advisor, my own mentor, and she and I worked really closely together for about 6 months to be able to really hone my mediumship skills. And I feel like that was so pivotal in my life, to be able to take that mentoring and to be able to move forward with the mediumship. And then I started doing readings on family members, etc. And then I went for it. And it's been the most amazing, incredible change that I could have ever done in my life. I just think about all the people that I impact, and there's times where loved ones who are in spirit, they'll be sitting on my couch, and I'm like, you? And they're like, you'll find out. And I'm like, okay, well, bye for now. Come back when your reading is in session. But I just think about that. I don't think I could ever turn back. It's just one of those things that I can't turn back. I have to keep moving forward with this. Yeah. So it's been an incredible journey.
One spirit and the angels get a hold of us. It's like, we're not letting go. We waited long enough for you to say, okay, I'm opening the door a teensy bit, and they go, oh, it's open. And it's like, no, I just opened it a crack to check it out. No, it's done. It's like, okay. So what is it been like? If you wouldn't mind sharing at least one of the challenges or the obstacles, because there are so many readers, healers, spiritual advisors, whatever label we're calling ourselves, we're all part of the whole. And how did you not be afraid to come out and go, hello, here I am?
Right. And it is a journey. It really is. And I appreciate you being able to open the door for that, even just recognizing that, wow, like you had to step forward with this. And I feel, throughout my lifetime, there was drama growing up. There was chaos. Come from a divorced family, so my grandparents, there was a lot of chaos there, and it's kind of, this is what I tell people sometimes, because I went right into counseling as soon as my parents divorced, and there's just so much drama. So I tell people I was raised on counseling and secondhand smoke. Yeah. And I do have a grandmother who's in spirit, and she's just kind of tapping me on the shoulder. She's like, I'm the one. I'm like, I know, Grandma, you're the one. So yes, thank you, Grandma. And so, just like I said, there's a lot of chaos, a lot of that type of thing. And so I will be very vulnerable in saying that I have a lot of I've had to work through a lot of patterns of rejection. So my biological father and stepmom, there was just so much rejection there, and there were times that I was, either put down, or there were even times where I would go visit them and my picture wouldn't even be in their home, so I didn't even exist at some point.
Wow.
So it was. And so what I did with that was I started overachieving, and I tried to go into perfection mode. And so I tried to get, all the 4.0s. I, got into endurance athleticism, and on and on and on. And I also was a professor, and it was wonderful, wonderful venture. And yet at the same time, I realized everything I was doing was to get approval. Everything. And what hit me actually was during the endurance athleticism, I pushed myself so hard that I was starting to break bones. So I started breaking bones, right? Broke my ankle, broke my ribs, because I pushed myself too hard. And so that's when I just stopped, and I said, this is ridiculous. This is enough. And you got to figure out what you're going to do with your life. And so I feel like it was that, almost like that pivotal moment where I thought, I'm not gonna keep living for approval. Like, I can't, I can't break my body. I can't do that. And so I feel like that, some of those moments of growth, of me stepping forward and saying, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm going to be me. I'm going to be able to step forward and not necessarily expect approval, just know I'm already approved. And so it took that, and the healing, from these broken bones, etc. It took a number of years, and I feel like through that healing process, then it was, I need to move forward with this. I need to be who I am, and that's who I am. I've always been spiritual, and I just think I feel so much freer living life on my terms rather than wanting to get approval from somewhere else. So I feel like that's what it is.
And now, of course, you realize, and I'm assuming for you, but I feel pretty good about this, that the broken bones was actually spirit going, hello, knock it off. This is not your direction. You're beating yourself up, and you're trying to fit in where it doesn't matter how much you do or how much you don't do, you're not going to be accepted in that way. So you might as well be who you are and still not be accepted, and still be living your own life, in your own spirituality.
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree with you that was spirit. I agree with you that, there was just, I needed to stop, and they were stopping me, And I like that too, because now, the time that I would spend training before, I'm spending communing with spirit, and I'm spending being able to heal others and help others, and help them to break those patterns and help them to align. And so I agree that spirit definitely had an impact, and also had a different path for me. So yeah, I agree with you. Mm-hmm.
So how did you get started in actually, where did the courage, they're switching the question, where did the courage come from to, like, okay, this is who I am, this is what I need to be doing, so here I am being of service, and oh, by the way, you're going to start a business. Really? Okay, let's go forward with that. How did you find the courage? Where did that come from?
I feel like the courage came from witnessing what I was doing with the readings, and so you're right. Like at first it was kind of hush hush, you know, and and people is like word of mouth, like, oh, Heather's a medium, and so I feel like the courage came from doing readings over and over and over and seeing that impact and just recognizing that people's lives were changing and that I was able to be that bridge to assist with that. And so, and it's interesting because when I was starting the mentoring process, it's funny because people ask about my husband, like, what does he think of that? And I said, well, actually, I would just say that I was, some of the spiritual assignments I was doing, I would say, I would go in and I'd say, I'm meditating. And we're both very spiritual. He's a spiritual director. He's got a philosophy degree and whatnot. And so we're both very spiritual, but I didn't tell him I was becoming a medium. And anyway, until I channeled his father. Okay. Yeah. And then I was like, okay. And so I was like, I need to tell him, I need to come out. So it was about 3 weeks into the mentoring. And I just remember coming out and saying, actually, I'm becoming a medium. I already was, but I was just becoming, more aligned with that. And he tells a story that as I came out and I told him that when I told him, what his dad was saying to him, he said it resonated. And he's like I said, he's in philosophy, so he even says this. He's I'm a self-proclaimed skeptic, and he'll even say that. Skeptical, and so I appreciate him saying that, just because I think then it almost adds to the validity of it. And so then he just was watching and seeing that change, and he really encouraged me as well. He said, you're making a huge difference on a lot of people's lives. And so I feel like in recognizing that, and also recognizing that I don't want people to go through what I had to go through, and I feel like sometimes that's part of our journey too. So some of the younger gals that I work with too, I just say, I can see you going down the trajectory I was going down, and I don't want you to have to go there. I want to make sure that we can assist you to align before you start breaking bones, or before you start living a life, attempting to live a life for somebody else. And so I do feel like that was the shift, was being able to, again, recognize how he was helping to change lives. And then also, even my husband, like I just think the closest person to me was changing because of what I was able to offer. So yeah, I hope that answers your question.
It is, and I'm just gonna, because your image froze for a second, but your voice kept coming through. So I'm just gonna add Gabrielle, Michelle, thank you. I know we're just coming out of some very strong, actually, we're not coming out of any strong energies. We're just still in it. So, and I don't mean your team and mine, in addition to what's going on around us. Okay, so as an empath, how do you protect yourself? Yeah, okay, so I'm going to ask her both questions at the same time, and then feel free to. It's like, okay.
I love that, because I'm like, that's me too. When they send so much energy into you, you're like, where do I go? This is
as
good.
An empath, how do you protect yourself? And then some of my clients say, well, I don't want to open up to the dark side. And how do you manage those on the other side before, once the door's open, they go, oh, cool. And it's like, wait now, you don't got to wait your turn. So how do you manage both pieces of that, Heather?
Yeah, that's a great question. So for me, I got inundated with spirit as soon as I opened the door even more. And so I would have so many in my room at night. Like it'd be 3 a.m. and I'd wake up and I'm like, oh my gosh, hello, where do you belong? So I appreciate you saying that, because that's definitely part of the journey, and definitely part of, what I teach my students as well, because they'll get so overwhelmed. And so I appreciate you bringing that forward. And so for me, I do 4 different protection techniques in the morning. And 3 of them are with angels, and then one is with the light. And then I also am a Reiki master teacher. So I do protection. I do Reiki as soon as I wake up. And so even before I get out of bed, I do Reiki. And then I sweep myself of whatever energies are there. And then I actually protect myself 3 times. This is incredible, right? I do my whole body 3 times. I zip up my chakras 3 times. So like I'm really well protected, right? And then I go ahead and do the other protection techniques. And I still feel energies throughout the day. And so if I start feeling anxious and I know it's not my anxiety, I'll go ahead and put another protection technique on. And I appreciate you saying that, because I also will share, for them to back off. So sometimes they'll come in so close that I'm not able to, let's say, function. And so I'm like, okay, I need you to back off. I need you to step back. And I always feel like that with spirit, that they're cordial, like they want to help. And sometimes they want to help almost too much, right? Almost that's kind of my thinking sometimes, how I visualize what they're doing. And so then when I say, okay, you're just gonna have to back off a little bit, and that would be great, thank you. And I also feel like, there are times that people may feel, I've had people ask me like, what if spirit like pushes you, or, physically pushes you, or physically does something to you? And my take on it is that they don't have a body, so that they're having a hard time with like pressure modulation. Like they're trying to get our attention, but they don't have the grading that we do with how we're able to touch people. And so they're just trying to get our attention. And so if that does happen to me, I'll just say, okay, you have my attention, step back or something like that. I feel like they're so cordial with that. And I also want to share, I know I did a group reading party just recently, and somebody just asked, he said, how do you not get those dark entities on you, And it was interesting, because I told him about the protection techniques, and I said, my experience has been that, in all honesty, the most evil, let's say, and I don't want to say evil, I just want to say almost more like lower perhaps, or dense, I'm not sure what verbiage I should use exactly, is us, is human. And we're trying our best to be as high as we possibly can. But in all honesty, let's say, if you look at the vibrational energies of emotions, so like fear has a really low vibration, scared has a low vibration, guilt has a low vibration, and spirit doesn't have that because they don't have a body. And so in essence, we're the most dense. We're kind of the lowest, is what my experience has been. So in all honesty, I feel like spirit is higher than us automatically because they don't have a body. Does that make sense?
It does, because the body, and for a long time, for many years, I felt confined without really understanding it, because when I was little, I was so different. I grew up in a military family. And, there's no limitation there. There's no rigid rules there, right? It's very much different now, but when I was growing up, it was because that was the way of life. And so I turned it all off. I had to survive. And then all of a sudden you open it up and it's like, whoa, okay. But the body, the skin, it's the closest thing that we have to being able to sustain being in this physical realm, because we're vibration too, but because we have allowed our essence or our soul to be a part of this earth, then we get to be somewhat, not totally, but somewhat defined by the body. And it's hard to let go in a lot of ways. And, trusting something that we can't physically see or hear or touch is one of the biggest obstacles or the challenges into opening ourselves up to spirit.
Yeah, excellent. I love that you brought that forward. Because I feel like there are times when we're in a body, and just like you said, it's like, this is what our essence, or this is what we've chosen for now, that we do feel that limitation. Like, I'm so glad that you brought that forward, and we're just trying our best to be able to connect, to be able to be with spirit. And just being able to then recognize too that it's almost like a surrender, I feel like, to say it's okay to open up. It's okay to even just admit, that we are human and we have these limitations, yet we want to be able to commune with spirit,
It's the word control. You have to control your emotions. You have to control your energy. You have to control your thoughts. And the surrender is giving up fear and doubt and giving in to trust and faith. That's how I've turned the surrender around. It's not about sacrifice. Well, in a way, you're sacrificing fear and doubt for this whole incredible vibration, this whole frequency, because the more we're able to raise it, if you didn't, you wouldn't be able to connect with those on the other side. And there are so few. There's lots of mediums, but there are so few who are willing to totally open up because they don't know how to manage, and we're taught to be in control. Well, I like to manage because that's easier, because as soon as I try to control something, it spins the other way, at least it does for me.
Right.
What else do you want to share with our viewers, beautiful?
Yeah, I love that you shared that too, though, just like that control but I love how you said manage, because it's really, truly, that's what it is that we're managing. I love that you said that. And also just being able to let go of the fear, being able to let go of the doubt, and to walk in the trust and walk in faith that this is what is happening. And that's, I feel like, a lot of the work that I needed to do to be able to connect and to be able to have that clarity was to be able to release the lower vibration emotions, the fear, the doubt, the shame. And granted, it still happens, it's all good. I'm still dealing, I'm still in the process, I'm still in a body, right? But at the same time, right? At the same time, I feel like that's really what has popped me up, is dealing with that stuff, is letting it go, is going through the forgiveness process again and again and again, until I was able to move up, let's say, the emotions, and start living more in that unconditional love, start living more in compassion, and it's compassion for myself as well, so it's compassion for others and myself. And that was the game changer, I feel, with being able to get the clarity and being able to get it consistently throughout my day. So I would encourage people to do the work, to dig in deep and to be able to let go of the things that are not serving you, because we can't necessarily keep lugging that around, our past, etc., burdens. We're not able to then, if we do lug it around, we're not going to be able to have that connection.
Right.
So as we let it go, one thing that Spirit said to me one time, and I love it, but they said, as we let something that heavy go, then we get 10 more of these light things. And I thought, that's really cool. Right?
I like that.
So why not just let go? Because you're going to get even more, and it's going to be lighter. So yeah.
And they carry themselves. We don't even have to pack them.
Right. Yeah, they take care of themselves. Yeah, perfect. Yeah.
They just kind of float along with us, like, okay, come on, guys.
Right. Just along for the ride. It's good. Right.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. And I hope you'll come back at some point and we'll take another dive at this and see where you are and whatever else Spirit wants us to talk about, because I feel we could probably do this for a while.
I completely agree. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much. What an honor. What a privilege.
Thank you. It's about all of us sharing, because we don't know who at some point is going to see this or hear this. And it's like, oh my gosh, Heather did it. Okay, I can do this too. I just have to learn this or practice something, practice your protection technique more. And it makes it so much easier, because it wasn't bumpy too much, but it wasn't super smooth either. And people see us where we are now, and they go, yeah, she's got that. Well, yeah, now. Now.
Right. Yeah.
It
I love
wasn't always that way.
Mm-hmm. I love that you said that. I love that you said that. And that we are an example, that we've done the work. And I love that you say too, just like what you just said, that was so perfect that, yeah, look at her. And yet it took that work, and
Yeah.
that's how we've gotten where we are, is because we've done the work,
And here's the secret, y'all. We're still doing the work.
Exactly. It's not over.
We're not in coast mode yet, okay? We're not. So thank you so much, Heather Corbett. You're absolutely amazing. Please tell our viewers and our listeners how they can find you.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I do have a website, and it's Heather Corbett, spiritualadvisor.com. And also I have a Facebook group, and it's called Heighten Your Spiritual Connection. So you can get in touch with me that way as well. So yeah.
And it's an amazing group, y'all. I know.
We love it. We love it. And we love your energy. It's so amazing that many people there in that energy. So yes, love your energy. So thank you for being there.
Thank you. So be sure, y'all, to visit our Living Spirit and Wellness Global Directory for empaths. You can find it at angeldreamteam.com, where we are creating a community of empaths for empaths, because who besides an empath or a sensitive can understand us anyway, right? So whether you're looking for a graphic artist, a spiritual advisor, a reader, doesn't matter, take a peek. And when you're there, go ahead and get your listing. And by the way, this beautiful lady is part of our ever-growing community as well. So thank you again for being here, and thank you for sharing your journey with us. We'll see you all again real soon. Bye-bye.